Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss about group dynamics. This is subject of school community and teachers. It's lecture number 7 and its code is EDU 272. In this lecture we shall study about groups dynamics, importance of groups in organization, and then group types. There is a famous saying that individually we are one drop, together we are an ocean. It is saying of Margaret Mead that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Now here I explain that who was Margaret Mead. She was an American cultural anthropologist who featured frequently as an author and speaker in the mass media during the 1960s and 1970s. She earned her bachelor's degree at Barnard College in New York and her MA and PhD degree from Columbia University. Now, what is meant by group? Group is a very small, just two people, or very large. They can be highly rewarding to their members and to society as a whole. But there are also significant problems and dangers with them. All this make them an essential focus for research, exploration and action. In this piece, I want to examine some of the key definitions of groups that have appeared, review central ways of categorizing groups, explore important dimensions of groups, and look briefly at the group in time. We can define group that a group can be defined as several individuals who came together to accomplish a particular task or goal. However, even more significant than this for the group process, Leeuwenhoek, is some independence in the goals of group members to get something done. It is often necessary to cooperate with others. Now, what is meant by group dynamics? Group dynamics is a set of behavioral and psychological processes that occur within a social group or between groups. It refers to the nature of groups, the laws of their development, and their interrelations with individuals, other groups, and larger institutions. Group dynamics deals with the attitudes and behavior patterns of a group. It can be used as a mean of for problem solving, teamwork, and to become more innovative and productive as an organization. So, we can also explain that the social process by which people interact in a group environment. Group dynamics refers to the attitudinal and behavioral characteristics of a group. The influences of personality, power, and behavior on the group process. Here, if I ask questions that what are group dynamics examples? So, increasingly, research has applied evolutionary psychology principles to group dynamics. Examples include mechanisms for dealing with status, reciprocity, identifying cheaters, ostracism, altruism, group decision, leadership, and intergroup relations. Moreover, the group dynamics is a system of behaviors and psychological processes occurring within a social group. And we can say intra-group dynamics or between social groups. And another word we can say intergroup dynamics. So the study of group dynamics can be useful in understanding decision making, behavior, tracking the spread of diseases in society, creating effective therapy techniques, and following the emergence and popularity of new ideas and technologies. So, group dynamics are at the core of understanding racism, sexism, and other forms of social prejudice and discriminations. These applications of the field are studied in psychology, sociology, anthropology, political science, epidemiology, education, social work, business, and communication studies. So, group dynamics concern how groups form, their structure and process, and how they function. Group dynamics are relevant in both formal and informal groups of all types. So, why it is important in organization? Remember that the group can give the effect of synergy. That is, if the group consists of positive thinkers, then its output is more than double every time. Group dynamism can furthermore give job satisfaction to the members. The group can also infuse the team spirit among the members. In organizational development, group dynamics refers to the understanding of behavior of people in groups that are trying to solve a problem or making a decision. A good manager can act as a facilitator and assist the group in accompanying its objectives and arrive at correct decisions. The cooperative work amongst the group members helps in breaking down the task and the responsibilities so that not one person will be overburdened with the whole task. In such cases, group dynamics helps in evaluating the progress of the task. In an organizational settings, groups are very common. The study of groups and group dynamics is an important area of the study in organizational behavior. Now, groups and teams, what they can do. Groups and teams can enhance performance. Groups and teams can increase responsiveness to customers. Groups and teams can increase innovation. Groups and teams can increase motivation and satisfaction. And all these activities becomes to gain a competitive advantage. And now we further study that what is importance of group in an organization. A group is a collection of two or more people who work with one another regularly to achieve common goals. Groups help organizations in accomplishing important tasks. Groups are important to improve organizational outputs and to influence the attitudes and behavior of members of the organizations. So the groups are essential in every organizations. The effectiveness of groups affect the overall performance as well as getting work done. So groups offers social satisfaction to its members. Groups typically outperforms individuals when the task involved require a variety of skills, experience, and decision making. So groups are often more flexible and can quickly assemble, achieve goals, and disband or move on to another set of objectives. Importance of groups in an organizations are: the first one is filling in gaps in managers' abilities. The second one is solving work problems, and the third one is better coordination, and the fourth one is channel of communication. Fifth is restraint on managers, and the sixth is better relations. Then next is norms of behavior, and the next is developing future executives. Now, one by one, we see that filling in gaps in manager abilities. Like groups have many motivational aspects. Informal organizations may act to fill in gaps in the manager's abilities. For example, if a manager is weak in planning, one of his subordinates may help him informally in such a situation. And solving work problems. Informal organizations helps in solving the work problems of members. It allows sharing job knowledge and taking decisions which affect a number of jobs. And if we talk about better coordination, so informal groups evolve shortcuts and eliminate red tapeisms. They facilitate smooth flow of information and quick decision making. All these ensures better coordination among various individuals and departments. Group members are more likely to participate in decision making and problem solving activities, leading to empowerment and increased productivity. And when we talk about channel of communication, so informal groups act to fill up the communication gaps which might arise in the organization. Informal communication cuts across the hierarchical and departmental boundaries and transmit information with great speed. Management can use informal channels to share information with the workers and get their reactions to management's proposals. So informal communications can be of great use so to organizations if it is handled by a management property. Restraint on managers. Now informal groups do not allow the managers to cross their limits. They restrict them from getting unlimited power and from using their power injustly. And if we have a better relations, then a manager can build better relations with his subordinates through informal contacts. He can consult the informal leaders and seek their cooperation in getting the things done from the workers. And if we see the norms of behavior, then informal groups develop certain norms of behavior which differentiate between good and bad conduct and between legitimate and illegitimate activities. This brings disciplines and order among the employees of the organization. And if we talk the developing future executives, so informal groups recognize talented workers as their leaders. Such leaders can be picked by a management to fill vacancies at the junior executive level in the future. Moreover, we can say that groups completes most of the work in an organization. Thus, the effectiveness of the organization is limited by the effectiveness of its groups. Now, what are the types of groups? There are two main types, formal and informal. First of all, we talk about formal groups. Formal groups always established by the organization to achieve organization goals, and they may take the form of command groups, task groups, and functional groups. And if we talk about formal groups, so formal groups are the ones that are created as per official authority so as to fulfill the desired objective. Unlike the informal groups are formed by the employees as per their likes, interests and attitudes. So some of the common formal groups that exist within the organization or community include school, church, hospital, government and civic organizations. The formal groups are formed deliberately and consciously collectively to direct the effort of group members, especially the employees, toward the accomplishment of organizational objectives, to help others in the group to learn new skills, to know about the detail of the organizational environment. So the formal groups are formed to fulfill different objectives. For example, to capitalize the expertise of each individual toward the accomplishment of complex tasks, and to make use of synergy, that is collective effort of group members yields better results than an individual working separately. To facilitate a proper decision making, as with the many people in a group, the conflicting ideas and thoughts arise that could be considered to formulate a better decision and to help others in the group to learn new skills and to know about the details of organizational environment, to satisfy the personal needs of social affiliations, that is, the need to get accepted by others. The formal groups mostly relate to the organizational missions and can either be permanent or temporary. The permanent formal groups are in the form of top management teams such as board of directors, management committees, several departments within the organization, etc. The temporary formal groups are created to fulfill the specified set of objectives. Now, what is meant by command groups? It is a group consisting of individuals who report directly to the manager. Interest groups. It is a group formed by individuals working together to achieve a specific objectives. For example, a group of workers working on a project and reporting to the same manager is considered as a command group. Command groups are specified by the organizational chart and often consist of a supervisor and the subordinates that report to that supervisor. An example of command group as an academic department chairman and faculty members in that department. The command group is the most frequent type of formal group. It is relatively permanent and is specified by the organizational chart. It is comprises of managers or supervisor or subordinates who meet regularly to discuss journal and specific idea to improve product or service. In business organizations, most employees work in such command groups. Task groups. So task groups consist of people who work together to achieve a common task, and members are brought together to accomplish a narrow range of goals within a specified time. Task groups organized to meet client, organizational and community needs. Among the various types of task groups are termed treatment conferences and staff development groups. Then we talk functional groups. So functional groups are specific groupings of atoms within molecules that have their own characteristic property regarding of the other atom present in molecule. If we discuss this type of functional groups in chemistry or in other subjects. But here a formal group that is involved within the relatively permanent ongoing operations of an organization. At all levels in the organizations there are functional groups which are ongoing formal groups comprised of managers and their employees. Each work unit or department makes up functional group. For example, the marketing, finance, production and personnel departments make up a number of independent functional groups. Functional groups created by the organization to accomplish specific goals within an unspecified time frame, and they remain in existence after achievement of current goals and objectives. For example, marketing department. Then we discuss informal groups. Informal groups are alliances that are neither formally structured nor organizationally determined. These groups are natural formations in the work response to the common interest of the organization members such as self-defense, work assistance and social interactions. So these groups are created for purposes that other than the accomplishment of organizational goals and do not have a specified time frame. Informal groups can have a strong influence in organizations that can either be positive or negative. Informal groups, unofficial, are emergent groups that evolve in the work setting to gratify a variety of members' needs not met by the formal groups. There are different types of informal groups like interest groups, friendship group and reference group. So what is meant by interest groups? So interest groups usually continue over time and may last longer than general informal groups. Members of interest groups may not be a part of the same organizational department, but they are bound together by some other common interest. The goals and objectives of group interest are specific to each group and may not be related to organizational goals and objectives. So, people who may or may not be aligned into common command or task groups may affiliate to attain a specific objective with which each is concerned. This is called an interest group. For instance, the employees who group together to pressurize the management for subsidized transport constitute an interest group. Then there is a friendship group. Friendship groups are formed by members who enjoy similar social activities, political beliefs, religious values, or other common bonds. Members enjoy each other's company and often meet after work to participate in these activities. So, a friendship group includes close friends or relations. These groups arise because members know each other very well before joining the organization, and in the initial stages they recognize each other only. So, these social alliances, which frequently extend outside the work situations, can be based on similar age or ethnic heritage, or for holding similar political views, or for having the same hobbies, etc. Then there are reference groups. Reference group, this is a type of group that people use to evaluate themselves, and according to Charrington, the main purposes of reference groups are social validation and social comparisons. Social validation allows individuals to justify their attitudes and values, while social comparisons helps individuals evaluate their own actions by comparison themselves to others. So, this is another type of informal groups. This is called cliques. So, these groups consist of colleagues or those who commonly associate with each other and observe certain social norms and standards. But the number of members tends to be smaller and only rarely exceeds 5 or 6. So, the objective is to provide recognition to each other and exchange information of mutual interest. So, reference groups have a strong influence on members' behavior, and by comparing themselves with other members, individuals are able to assess whether their behavior is acceptable and whether their attitudes and values are right or wrong. There are some advantages that groups with high cohesiveness demonstrate lower tension and anxiety. They demonstrate less variations in productivity. They demonstrate better member satisfaction, commitment, and workers always in face satisfaction. Low turnover and absenteeism is there. Higher productivity remains there. Enable groups to exercise effective control over the member. So, there are some disadvantages, like highly cohesive groups may be detrimental to organizational performance if their goals are misaligned with the organization goals. Highly cohesive groups may also be more vulnerable to groupthink. There are some characteristics of well functioning or effective groups, like their relaxed, comfortable, informal atmosphere. They task well understood and accepted. Members listen well and participates, and people express feelings. Moreover, the conflict and disagreement center around ideas or methods, and groups aware of its operation and function, and consensus decision making is there. So, clear assignment made and accepted in that group. So, here are some references. Thank you so much for being with me. Take care. Allah Hafiz.